Hi, this is Greg McCoach, editor of the Mining Speculator. I'm here with Michael Gunning, President and CEO of VR Resources. We're here at the Metals Investor Forum in Vancouver, Canada. Michael, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Greg, for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. It's a great show. We've been doing it for
this is your
third
time?
show.
Second
year. Yep.
Yeah, second year, third show.
It's a good audience.
Yeah.
Good newsletter writers.
Yeah, no, we appreciate that. You know, I like this venue because we pick the companies, and I had several people pay, just pay us a good compliment after we did our thing, saying you had a very strong panel, Greg, of people, invitees that you brought to the conference.
It shows that it's not always the case.
Yeah.
You go to a conference or a forum and you're not always sure what to expect, both from the presenting companies and from the people that are participating.
Right, exactly.
Are they actually investing?
Right, that's right. Well, I think we do all enjoy this show, and you and I, just before we got started here, you brought up something that I think we should talk about, because I think as a third interview you've done, I think a lot of the viewers already know VR Resources, so we can skip some of the basics.
Sure.
But I'd like to get into some other things that are very interesting that I think the viewers would enjoy hearing this discussion, that juniors have a real challenge. A junior mining company in this economic world that we live in, it's a real challenge to have all the costs that you need to manage and still be able to get money into the ground to do what you're supposed to do, which is make a discovery.
Yeah. You need conviction in this market cycle to run what I would call a going concern junior who's actually doing work. So my background is in Kamenko, my chairman's background is in Kamenko, and we're doing this because we've done exploration for our entire life, and we're driven by discovery.
Right.
We're not driven by setting up an office and having people in Vancouver on that machine. And you do need conviction in a cycle where money is going to other sectors to say, what does it take to go out and raise the money and do what we call put the money into the ground?
Right.
Well, you need to hire geologists. You need to have the conviction to do soil sample surveys at $60 a sample, and so on and so on. And I think for the investors that are here, that is a really key question, is to look at a company. Yeah. Do they understand how difficult capital is to raise in this sector? And do they understand that the only real value creation is in discovering on the ground? You need a team of geologists, you need local infrastructure knowledge.
And that costs money, it all costs money.
It all costs money. And you don't, it's a balance between running a tight G&A ship, but also understanding that at some point you need to have the conviction to raise the money, spend the money on the ground, and expose Greg McCoach as an investor to actually finding something.
Yeah.
And it doesn't fall in your lap.
No, it doesn't happen overnight. And this is what I noticed as we had a recent site visit. I went and visited the Bonita Springs project of VR Resources here a couple weeks ago, and it was a very exciting situation. Came back just totally enthused about what I saw and what I hoped for, right? But this just doesn't happen overnight. You know, you've been working on this project for 4 years. This represents lots of boots on the ground work, money spent previously. You were very wise to raise the money when you did, and you have a nice treasury so you can do the work you need to here this year into next year without worrying about further shareholder dilution.
And as you saw last week with the drill sitting in an area of cover inside these ridges, that VR is not afraid to not only do that work, but to say, we need to test this target with a drill hole.
Yeah.
And to have the courage to actually do that, and to know what that is going to do to your treasury in a tough market. But I want VR to have that sort of leadership of saying, we're working a little bit outside of the box at Bonita, we're off the trend, we're off the beaten track. That takes courage to be able to say to yourself, why am I doing this and Newmont isn't? And to understand what the opportunity there is. And to then go to a cover target. We're not drilling on the ridge where the copper veins are over here. We think with new ideas and new technologies.
Old district,
Right? Old district, new ideas, new understanding of iron oxide. We're going to go and drill over there undercover. And as an investor, you want to be investing in a company that has the experience,
right,
that can, and and the straight conviction to know, we all know what the risk is
Yeah,
in early stage exploration, but we also know what the value creation is.
that's right.
And so you want to be investing in people who have the confidence and the experience and the background to say, this is what we're doing, and we're going to go and do it.
Yeah.
And you saw that at Bonita in two ways. These guys are working on something that is off the beaten track, and here they are drilling undercover,
Yeah, yeah,
not over there where it's obvious.
right.
And you want to look for that in mature districts where juniors are not just going in and doing what I would call reinventing the wheel.
Right.
And it's common in the industry. It's in some ways it's easier to do, to take something that's known and safe. But you want to be bringing something new to the table.
Yeah, and I feel like you have done everything possible that can be done prior to drilling. You've left no
Yeah.
stone unturned. You've
Here-
been very methodical, very thorough. I wish all the exploration juniors I visited
Yeah.
were as good as what you've presented to me, because there is nothing left to do. We have to drill it now. There's
You're right. You want to be in that exciting, scary position of, okay, it's time to drill.
time to drill.
One of the most common comments we get on VR is how methodical the approach
Yeah.
has been on Bonita over 4 years.
Yeah.
Just in terms of systematically going through. And one of the phrases I use, Greg, is, I'm 3 generations in the business. I was lucky to have a job at Cominco when I was young to learn
To learn the
exploration.
business, yeah.
So I tell people, Greg, I have thrown every tool in the exploration toolbox at Bonita.
Right.
I've thrown everyone at it. And what's fun is to be able to say to myself, I've been able to throw a tool like an airborne resistivity survey.
Yeah.
Well, that tool didn't exist
Right, not too long
20 years ago
Right,
or
yeah.
10 years ago.
Right.
So I do know that I'm doing something that Anaconda Mining couldn't do in 1955.
Right.
World-leading copper company, huge geology staff, tremendously smart and successful.
Right.
But VR in 2015, 16, 17, we can do things, if we have the courage, that Anaconda could not because of technology
Right.
and mineral deposit modeling. And for investors, that cliche of going into an old district with new ideas is really, really important.
It's the out-of-the-box thinking that does
Yep.
create discovery. And we talked about that in my talk today, and I think that point came across because we had several people come up to us and thank us for that. So
Yeah. And part of that risk too is out of the box is taking on a system that is as large as Bonita.
all right,
It's almost 10 by 10
big
kilometers.
scale, yeah, big scale.
The land position
Yeah,
is large. But if you believe in the value creation that we had in something like the Rough Rider discovery with Hathor, or when Darren was working in
Right.
West Timmins, that you understand when you make a world-class discovery in a world-class district, uranium in Saskatchewan, gold at Red Lake, the mining industry is going to take attention to that.
no, for sure.
And so, as you pointed out today in the session, that's where you want your risk capital going, where that reward profile is worth
It's
it.
big. It's big. We, as a newsletter writer, why take the risk is the same.
Yeah.
If we've done our homework, whether it's a smaller situation or a bigger scale situation, you're going to get a much bigger payoff for taking the same amount of risk. So,
And part of our reward profile, if we're successful, is also what we talked about in that session, which is the copper world has not been treated very well
No.
in third world jurisdictions. We just look at Freeport coming out of Indonesia
Right.
and what's
Big-
happened to Barrick
big
in
deal.
Pakistan. It is a big deal. You're not talking about $3 million, you're talking about $3 billion perhaps. And one of the things that we're trying to do in looking at Bonita, and Nevada has been, Western United States has been little explored for copper in the past 30 years,
yeah,
is to have the courage to try and put something on the table, a discovery, where the mining companies are saying to themselves, Nevada,
yeah,
boring.
big scale.
Yeah, big scale, but in a jurisdiction where,
It's easy to do business.
yeah, you actually own your claims. The
Yeah.
government's not going to take it away.
Right.
If the market can understand how much capital
It takes, yeah.
it takes, and how much capital has been lost in other places.
Oh,
so we are trying to give the copper industry something where they can like come home to Nevada or Arizona or BC.
You make a discovery there, the majors are going to be watching real closely.
Self-explanatory.
Absolutely.
Self-explanatory.
Well, listen, we need to wrap up. I just want everybody to know that VR Resources is the #1 exploration stock in the Mining Speculator. So let the drills continue, and we'll see what
We
happens.
appreciate the support and the interest.
Yeah.
If you think you're excited, you're not as excited as we are.
Yeah,
This is one of these drill programs that if you're a geologist, it keeps you up at night.
yeah. No, it's
Wondering
got
what-
me really excited. I haven't been this excited in a long time.
Well, I appreciate the support.
Yep.
Thank you.
Take care.